Frank Matthews, often hailed as one of the most enigmatic figures in the history of American organized crime, emerged as an elite kingpin in the drug trade during the late 1960s and early 1970s. Known as the Black Caesar, Matthews operated on a scale that rivaled the most notorious drug lords of his time, commanding a sprawling empire that stretched from New York to the southern states and beyond. Born in Durham, North Carolina, in 1944, Matthews moved to Philadelphia and then to New York City, where he began his ascent in the criminal underworld. By the age 28, he had carved out a significant niche for himself, establishing a network that imported and distributed massive quantities of heroin and cocaine. His operations were not only highly lucrative, but also remarkably sophisticated, utilizing advanced strategies to avoid detection and capture. Matthews' accomplishments in the drug game were unparalleled. He built an empire that reportedly grossed $100 million annually, employing thousands and supplying drugs to major cities across the United States. His success was a testament to his business acumen, strategic mind, and ability to forge critical alliances. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Matthews cultivated relationships with both African American and Latino crime organizations, expanding his influence and control over the drug market. One of his most significant achievements was his ability to operate under the radar of law enforcement. Matthews' elusive nature and knack for evading capture frustrated authorities for years. Even when they finally closed in on him in 1973, he managed to vanish without a trace, taking a substantial fortune with him. The real ghost. His disappearance remains one of the greatest mysteries in the history of American crime, cementing his legacy as a criminal mastermind who outsmarted the system. Frank Matthews' story is one of ambition, intelligence, and audacity. As an elite kingpin, he reshaped the drug trade in America, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and mystify. His life and career stand as a testament to the heights of success and the depths of infamy that can be achieved in the world of organized crime. To understand Frank Matthews' impact on the drug trade, it's important to trace the origins of the primary substance he dealt with, heroin. The history of heroin begins with the cultivation of the poppy plant, which has been used for medicinal and recreational purposes for thousands of years. The opium poppy, Papaver somniferum, has a long history with its use dating back to ancient civilizations. The earliest records of opium use come from the Sumerians in Mesopotamia around 3400 BCE, who referred to it as the joy plant. They passed their knowledge to the Assyrians, who in turn taught the Egyptians. By 1500 BCE, the Egyptians were using opium both medicinally and recreationally. The plant's milky latex was extracted and dried to produce opium, which was then used to treat pain, insomnia, and various ailments. In the early 19th century, advances in chemistry allowed for the isolation of morphine from opium. In 1804, Friedrich Serturner, a German pharmacist, discovered morphine, named after Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams, due to its sleep-inducing properties. Morphine was significantly more potent than opium and quickly became a valuable tool for pain relief, especially during the American Civil War. However, its addictive properties soon became apparent. In the late 9th century, chemists sought to create a less addictive alternative to morphine. In 1874, an English chemist named C.R. Wright first synthesized diacetylmorphine by boiling morphine with acetic anhydride, though it did not gain immediate attention. It wasn't until 1898 that the Bayer Pharmaceutical Company in Germany began to market the compound under the trade name heroin, derived from the German word heroisch, meaning heroic, due to its purported heroic effects in treating coughs and morphine addiction. Initially marketed as a non-addictive morphine substitute and cough suppressant, it quickly became evident that heroin was even more addictive than morphine. By the early 20th century, heroin addiction had become a serious problem in many parts of the world. In response, international regulations began to tighten. The Harrison Narcotics Tax Act of 1914 in the United States restricted the manufacture and distribution of opiates, leading to a black market for heroin. Over the following decades, heroin smuggling and distribution became lucrative for organized crime groups. In the context of this historical backdrop, Frank Matthews entered the drug trade. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, heroin was in high demand in the United States, particularly in urban areas. Matthews recognized the potential for immense profit and positioned himself to take advantage of this lucrative market. He sourced high-quality heroin from suppliers in Southeast Asia and Latin America, regions that had become major producers due to the ideal growing conditions for opium poppies. Matthews' operations were characterized by their scale and efficiency. He employed sophisticated smuggling techniques to transport heroin into the United States and established distribution networks that ensured a steady flow of the drug to major urban centers. His ability to manage these complex logistics while evading law enforcement was a testament to his intelligence and organizational skills.
It's just what I noticed. Something got me haunted by you.
As we bring this story to a close, we reflect on the complex legacy of Frank Matthews, a figure who embodied both the potential for empowerment and the destructive impact of the drug trade within the African American community. Frank Matthews, known as the Black Caesar, was more than just a notorious drug kingpin. He was a symbol of economic ingenuity in a time of severe racial and economic oppression. Matthews and other African American hustlers of the 1960s and 1970s used their considerable financial resources to invest in their communities. They opened businesses, from nightclubs to real estate ventures, creating jobs and providing a semblance of economic stability in neighborhoods often neglected by mainstream society. These investments gave some residents opportunities for employment and entrepreneurship that were otherwise inaccessible, contributing to a vibrant, if unofficial, economy. However, this economic boost came at a grave cost. The heroin that Matthews and his contemporaries introduced and distributed had a devastating impact on the black community. Addiction rates soared, leading to a cycle of dependency that tore families apart and contributed to widespread poverty. The social fabric of many communities was irrevocably damaged as crime and violence escalated. The once tight-knit neighborhoods became battlegrounds for turf wars between rival dealers, increasing a sense of fear and insecurity. Innocent lives were lost, and the potential of countless individuals was stifled by the grip of addiction. The story of heroin in America cannot be told without acknowledging the controversial role of the government. During the 1960s and 1970s, allegations surfaced that governmental agencies were complicit, whether directly or indirectly, in the distribution of heroin in African American neighborhoods. Conspiracy theories and investigative reports suggested that the government, in its effort to suppress radical movements and civil unrest, turned a blind eye to or even facilitated the influx of drugs as a means of destabilizing these communities. The truth behind these claims remains a topic of heated debate, but the impact of such policies, intentional or not, is undeniable. In 1973, as law enforcement intensified their efforts to dismantle his empire, Frank Matthews vanished without a trace. He evaded capture and disappeared with an estimated fortune of $30 million, which would be $127 million today. Despite extensive manhunts and numerous leads, Matthews was never found, and his fate remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the annals of American crime. Rumors and speculation abound. Some say he underwent plastic surgery and assumed a new identity, while others believe he fled to Africa, living out his days in anonymity. Frank Matthews' story is a tale of ambition, ingenuity, and the dual-edged sword of economic empowerment through illicit means. His legacy is a reminder of the profound and lasting impacts that individuals can have on their communities, for better and for worse. The mystery of his disappearance only adds to his legend, leaving us to ponder the ultimate fate of the Black Caesar. As we reflect on this chapter of history, we are reminded of the resilience and resourcefulness of those who seek to rise above their circumstances, and the importance of addressing the systemic issues that drive individuals towards such paths. The story of Frank Matthews is not just a story of crime and mystery, but a narrative that challenges us to look deeper into the socio-economic conditions and the unseen hand that shape the destinies of entire communities.